Andrew, good morning.
What's up, Jason?
Hey, man.
How you doing, man?
All right, so we had a big Bitcoin dip down to 60,000.
Man, it's pretty crazy. I remember let me think, probably about 3 months ago, in Atlanta, we have a Bitcoin meetup every Wednesday, and then every other Wednesday, it's kind of more of a beginner. Like we'll talk about more macroeconomic stuff, and then the other Wednesdays is like deep dive technical stuff. But it was when we're not talking technical, oftentimes we're like covering a book. Like right now we're going through the Sovereign Individual, because it's kind of one of these books that often gets referred to in the Bitcoin community, right? And so we thought it was a good one to pick up. Anyway, there was a bunch of people there a few folks that I hadn't seen about it before, so kind of meeting them and stuff. And one guy was like, "Oh yeah, Bitcoin's it's gonna see like an 80% drop." and this is like when it was like kind of above 100, probably 110 or something like that. It hadn't hit its all-time high, but I'm thinking, man, I don't know. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think we're kind of past that. I think with the institutional interest, sovereign interest, wealth fund interest, like there's just more momentum in the Bitcoin market, right? So like, how can it pull back that much? But this guy was pretty like passionate about his position. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not dissing you. It's like, yeah, it can happen. And lately I've been like, man, that one guy was probably kind of right. Now, why? What's the cause? Have you heard any explanation? I've maybe got some thoughts, but.
Well, we dipped down to 60, and then when we're now sitting at 68. The cause, it's probably that Jeffrey Epstein file leak where I don't know if you've seen it. There's he's Satoshi. Epstein is Satoshi and all that stuff going on. That's probably a big part of it. Plus people maybe releasing those files and then strategically dumping or shorting, because there's a lot of Bitcoin that are in ETFs, a lot of Bitcoin that people don't have the keys to. They're on exchanges. So it's easy to manipulate like that. That's why I'm a big advocate of self-custody only, because that's one of the main inventions of Bitcoin is holding your keys. If you're not holding your keys, then it's the same as any other asset.
Well, yes. And, but can you name any other asset that's not Bitcoin? That's self-custody?
Sure. All the other cryptos.
Well, okay.
And physical properties like physical gold and silver.
Okay, but before we go there, what other cryptos? Ethereum?
Yeah, all of them. I mean, they have wallets. Now, I don't know if it's self-custody, but maybe there is some sort of middle entity. It's not fully decentralized. But yeah, it's self-custody in terms you can get a MetaMask wallet, maybe a Ledger or Trezor that supports altcoins. Not that I like those altcoins, but
the differentiation I'm trying to get at here isn't that the quantity that you have acquired is within your control to then spend or dispose of. Right. So that is for sure true. That's the thing that the blockchain gave us, right? Which is that definitive control.
Yeah.
I think the question is more of that I was getting at was more of like, well, yes, but what is it that you're controlling and who controls the quantity of that, right?
True. Bigger picture.
So like if Ethereum, was granted a big pool or pot of tokens for the original developers and then the early investors. And there's a company and Vitalik Buterin is kind of the head of it. So there's a person involved that's making decisions. And then as someone that comes in later in the game, it's like you're like bidding on the price of something that other folks already have a quantity of. And because it's a staking protocol, that the control and voting share of things is not something that you can easily acquire, like a voice rate. So, and we don't have to get into this in terms of what's proof of work versus proof of stake, but I think anyone that's probably listened to us has a sense of it. It's like the proof of stake stuff may have their place in the broader economy, but the real action and the real value is anchored by proof of work chains, Bitcoin being the most prominent one. And there's no company, there's no Bitcoin company, there's no Bitcoin president, there's no Bitcoin committee. The algorithm, the code is the protocol, right? So, which makes it so valuable to be kind of anchored. Like, this is like the thing that can't be compromised as we understand it to date, right? And yeah, you can go off into the whole quantum computing is going to break everything. Like, we're not going to go there. I mean, my personal thought is that that's largely FUD, but I might be wrong. So
Bitcoin's definitely one of a kind. The proof of work, the self-custody, the first to be created. So there's a lot to it. The decentralization, the nodes, the cap supply, the 21 million.
Right.
I'm sure I'm forgetting some stuff, but it's definitely unique.